Hello everyone, Miss Art Garden here, and today we're going to do a Let's Paint of Claire from Jurassic World. So let's go ahead and get started. As usual, I'm going to start with the guides. So I'm going to draw a circle, and I don't like that one, so I'll just redo it. And then we'll draw the vertical guideline, something like so. And then we'll draw the horizontal line of where her eyes will be. Okay, and then we'll draw in her face shape. I'm always more of a, don't worry about it being messy at the beginning, and then you can fix it up later. Sketch in that chin and draw something like that. And then draw in her features a little bit. So the tops of her eyes are usually what I start with, right here and right here. And we'll draw in the bridge of her nose, coming like that, and then down, come out like that. And her nose will be something like this with the nostrils. We can erase some of this if it's in our way. The nostrils coming out, something like this from this angle. It's just the sketch, so I'm not too worried about it looking clean and perfect. We're just gonna keep going with it. I'm happy with that. Her nose might be a little bit big. Just make a quick adjustment like so. Okay, and then we'll draw her mouth line in. We're gonna give her, she's kind of a pouty person, so we might give her a little bit of a pout. I'm going to elongate this down just a little bit. I don't think I drew it quite long enough. And then I can move this line down a little bit more. That way I'll be able to fit in her top and her bottom lip. And that looks pretty good. I'll probably have her mouth just a little bit open. There we go. And then I'm just gonna kind of rework the shape of her face a little bit more. She does have kind of a dimple chin. I'm gonna try to get that and it'll be like around that area there. Let's finish detailing her eyes so she looks a little bit normal, and we'll put in the bottoms of those, and we'll do the same thing over here. We'll just kind of put in the bottom, and this will come down at this angle, and that'll kind of meet up there with that line. And then I'm going to kind of reshape. She does have very high cheekbones, so I will try to put those in as well. There we go. I think her eyes might need to come down just a touch, so we'll go ahead and do that. Especially this eye needs to go a little bit over too. There we go. Just whatever looks right to you. We'll draw in her chin, her neck, which will come down here, and then she'll have some shoulders here, and then her neck will come down here. Maybe I'm drawing this a little too long. Let's bring this up a little bit. That's probably good for placement reasons. Maybe this would go out like that, and then this would come back and down a little bit more. And then let's place in her hair. So I'm just gonna kind of place it in, and then when I'm painting it, I'll try to get the shape right. And then she has like hair that is very styled or cut. So longest here in the front, and then it will shape back a little bit like that. Place that in for now in the sketch. Okay, I'm putting these spiky things in here because I do kind of want to remember to curl it in a little bit more like that. All right, so now let's detail her out even more. I guess I should add eyebrows since I never remembered to do that. The bridge of her nose there, and I'm going to give her kind of a worried expression, so I guess I'll put her eyebrows like so. Did I just erase my bang line? I think I did. Good job. We'll give her the eyebrows first, and then I think the bang line's right about where the eyebrows are. Something like that. And then I'm going to extend this out with the warp a little bit like that. Just little things I see as I go. And then let's draw in some clothes. So she'll have her blouse. It's got like a little bit of a collar, so we'll go ahead and add that in too as well. She wears all pristine white. It's supposed to, I guess, reflect on her very uptight nature of her personality. And then it comes down like that, and then this one comes down like that. There we go. We'll draw a little bit of her neck in because you would be able to see it there. And then her collarbones would be here and here. I might kind of close up her shirt. I think I drew it a little bit too open. So let's just fix that real quick like that. And then she has a necklace that she wears. We can just kind of block it in like that. And then it goes up. And then when we go in later, we can, add some drapes to her blouse here. And she'll have these kind of wrinkled lines. We can do the same over here. Just kind of give her a few wrinkles. And then we will draw in her eyes and any other little details that we want to include here. Draw that like that. I think her nose might need to come up a little bit more. I think it's out just a little further, too far down. And then I'll move her lips up as well, just a little touch. And then I think we'll call that good on the sketch, and we'll go ahead and move on to the painting. So let's go ahead and create a color layer. I'm going to choose a background color now because I don't really like working. I think it's better when you're painting if you kind of pick a mid-tone or at least color kind of with what you're going to go with. So let's just pick a dark gray to start with, and then we will pick her skin color, and we'll just go with kind of a mid-tone here. So I'm going to make it orange right now, and I'm going to turn my opacity up, my flow up, and I'm going to turn my hardness down just a little bit. Then I'm just going to kind of fill in. That is not the right skin color. And then I'm just going to kind of fill in this area with her skin color and her hair and all of that. And when I'm coloring in the hair, I don't want to color, well, you can if you want, but I don't usually like to put it out as far as I think the hair is going to go because I want the ends to be more translucent and tapered and stuff. So we'll just go ahead and finish up with that last little bit there. We can kind of make our sketch less opaque. I'm going to invert the color so it's a little bit easier to see. I'll make it a little darker. There we go. And then we can see, you know, if we've messed up somewhere, we can see where we need to fill in. We'll just go ahead and patch those little spots up a little bit right there like that, a little bit out like that. Okay, so now we have our base colors, and next up is to add some shadows and highlights. I'm gonna turn my opacity down. I'm gonna turn my flow down a little bit too. And I'm going to just go in with some darker colors for the base and some lighter colors for the highlighted areas. And I'm gonna make the highlights a little more yellow too. Oh, I'm also going to turn my hardness way down. So the base colors, shadows, or whatever, we'll have them go here at the nose and maybe some down here at the face. Definitely over here where the hair is creating some shadows. I didn't mean to splotch it on like that, but it's okay. We'll blend it in later. A little bit under her lips. I like to just kind of block them in at first, and then we can go back in and refine them and stuff. Okay, so then around the eyes, definitely around the front part here, and then out in the corner of the eyes, there's always usually shadows here and here. We can add those in. We'll give her a little bit of shadow on her cheek here and a little bit on the dimple area. And like I said, I'm just kind of blocking in just some spots of shadows here. Just kind of get the idea of how I want it to look. I want some down here and some down here too. Basically, if you couldn't tell, I was thinking this side of her face in shadows, the other side a little bit more in highlights. We can switch to our highlights and kind of start placing those in as well. Throw them in like so, and then down here and here, let's just do like a nice little whole light area there, and then down here on the chin. And then she might have like a little bit of the corner of her mouth catching, maybe some under her nose here, and you know, the nose will be reflective. And then of course in the corner of her eyes, we'll have that like that, and we'll put some down here and down here. So now we've got that blocked in. I think actually her chin is a little too far down now that I've done that, and I can see that. So I'm actually gonna go up to the sketch phase and just shrink it up, but just a tiny touch, and that'll just kind of help me when I'm doing this painting. Come back down here and get rid of this area here. It's gonna be in shadow, the hair shadow in a minute. Anyways, that's a little bit more, I think, towards her facial structure. And we can add a few highlights over here while we're at it, like they go right on the bottom of the chin, and those will get blended in. Okay, so I'm happy with that blocking in. We'll refine it a little bit more, but now we have more of an idea of how that should look. I'm actually gonna go ahead and make a hair layer now, and let's do the same here where we just take some shadowy areas. She's got red orange hair, so I'm gonna try to pick the right colors for this one. A little bit of a danger field here, and then a little yellower highlights for the highlights, and that'll work out just fine. So we don't have to go crazy here. Just establish some of the shadows and highlight areas. So this whole area over here will be more in shadows, so we can just go ahead and add a few little splotches there, get that ball going. And this area over here will be more in highlights, so we'll go ahead and add some of those right over there. Like I said, this area here will eventually be all in shadows. Okay, so this is really light at the beginning, but I think it's good to just block in what you want. And if we just want to finish off the blocking in, we can do some here on the shirt too, just a little bit like under her collar. Nice one there where this is coming down, another one under here, and then of course where it's up against her skin over here, and a little touch maybe over here. Some of these wrinkles we'll just kind of place them in, why not? And then over here, since the light is over here, well, this whole area will just be kind of blocked in shadow. We're gonna have to go in with some darker shadows and highlights and redefine her features. So that's the next step. I'm gonna take an even darker shadow, go in and just kind of lay it on in anywhere that I want it to be extra dark or extra shadowy. So we'll just go ahead and go in. I'm gonna speed up the video here. Okay, and then the next thing to do is I'm going to darken the shadows of her hair. I'm going to go up to that hair layer and work on her hair a little bit. I try to do the skin and the hair a little bit in tandem because I think it's good to work on them. I mean, you know, different schools of thought, but I think it's good to work on them kind of similar times so that you can kind of keep up with the values a little bit more. So I'm going to go in and just add some darker parts of the hair here, and we'll just meet back after I've done that. Okay, and then I'm just drawing in her eyebrows real quick here too. Just putting some color in there for them. Okay, we can take away the sketch layer and just take a look. It's looking okay so far. So the next thing I want to do is add a little bit more detailed shadow to her eyes and her mouth and stuff. So we'll go in with a nice kind of dark brown color. I'm going to blow this up for the sake of the video. Okay, so make sure I'm back on the color layer now, and I'm going to just kind of shape in her eyes, kind of going with what my sketch is, and I might kind of change that afterwards. So let's do something like that. And we'll do the same over here. We'll just kind of shape in this eye here, kind of comes up, and then there's like a little bit of a triangular almost shape here. I didn't quite nail it on this one. This one might need to come in a little bit more over here. We'll see when I take the sketch away what it looks like. And then we'll reshape this here. I mean, we'll just kind of place in the shape here for this one like so. We'll take a look afterwards. While we're here, let's move on down. Add some of the shadows to her nose here and here. Like a very shadowy area would be here. And we can kind of place in, like, you know, something where it's that's a little blocky, but we'll blend it in later. Just while we're here, we'll add that in, and then we can add a little bit corner here. And then let's add in that mouth. So let's go through here. We'll have the line, the seam of her lips, and then there's a little dip there, and then it goes down like that, and then it kind of has a corner, a little bit of a corner shape there and there. I'm going to pick kind of a red color just to block in the rest. So it'll be easier later when we're painting in the lips. So we'll put that there like so. And this one will go up to where I have it here, and then down, and then up, and then down. Something like that. Okay, should we take away the sketch layer? I think that's good for the blocked in look. So let's go back and double check at that size. I think her eyes might be a little bit too far up. So I'm going to do a quick adjustment, and I'm going to duplicate the layer with Command J, hit that Option key, hold it over, and create a clipping mask. And then if you need to know how to do that, you can also just do that through the right click windows. Duplicate layers right here, and clipping mask is here. But now when I have that, I'm going to go with my lasso tool, select this area here, feather it about 10 pixels, and then I'm just going to move it down like so. That's a little bit more better placed, I think. So while we're here, let's blow this up a bit, and I guess we can work on it at this size for a little while, make it a little bit easier. I'm going to kind of just quickly blend that in so it doesn't drive me nuts. There we go. So let's go ahead and detail some more of her face. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to kind of skip ahead again. I'm going to show you, I'm going to go in and refine the shadows this time. So basically anywhere where I think there needs to be a more refined shadow, like under here, I think I want like a nice dark shadow where her nostril is, and then we can go back in. I've lost a little bit of that highlight there, and if we're going to do a highlight there, we should have one over here, which I guess we already did a little bit. And then I'm going to take this here so we can see a little bit of her nostril, and I'm just going to place it down there for the color of it. Later on, we'll take a even higher highlight, maybe not white, but I'll use it for now, and go in and add that so you can see that nostril from that side. And then we'll, you know, add a few darker shadows here that go all the way up, and then you see that there. Just kind of keep working in where you think your shadows and your highlights need to be. So yeah, I'm just going to kind of keep working these shadows in and refining them, and I'm going to speed up the video here so you can see me doing it without me just blabbering on the whole time. Okay, so I think I have that a little bit more refined. I'm not used to working this house up unless I'm doing really detailed work, but I did want to show off what it would look like a little bit more. So what we're going to do now, after I add a little tiny highlight here to the nose to show where that bridge is a little bit better, is I'm going to go in, detail her eyes and her mouth now. And I've almost done the nose here, but we'll go over that as well. So we'll start with the eyes. Before I do that, I'm going to merge this layer with Command E, or you can go to Layer and then merge down, which is Command E. And then I'm going to do the duplicate, and I'm going to do the clipping mask. And again, you can find those in the right click menu, or you can hit Command J and then Option and click on that. Okay, so now I want to edit this eye over here. So I'm going to select it, feather it a little bit, and I want this to actually just kind of come down a little bit more like that, line up a little bit better. And now I'm going to add some whites in here. So I'm going to just take that white color. I'm still about 33% on my painting, so we'll just add her ghost eyes is what it kind of looks like there. She's got green eyes, so we're going to go ahead and paint those in. So we'll just put them in. You can kind of refine it later. Something like that. And then I'm going to take this and make it a little bit darker. She's got very startling eyes right now, but that's okay. Then I'm going to take a black and I'm going to add where the pupil's going to be, just so I have this placement here. I think this eye over here is a little bit bigger than the other, so I'm going to do my adjustment technique. Okay, good time to check it, flip it horizontally and make adjustments, and I'm glad I did that because I see now that there's a big problem here with this eye that I didn't see before. And another thing you can do is you can go to filter and liquefy, and you can work on reshaping them there if the warp tool isn't quite up to par. And for this, I want to move this in just a little tiny bit here, and I want this to move in a little bit up like this, like so, and then maybe like that. Just so she has a little bit more of a squinty look. So now we're going to blow this up again a little bit more, and we're going to take the brush tool and we're going to work on adding the little features to her eyes. So she will have like a little highlight here where you can see right under her eyelashes. So we'll just go ahead and place that in. We're going to give her, I'm going to pick up kind of a dark color here. We're just going to sketch in where her eyelashes will be. So right above here we'll have the eyelashes, and they kind of will eventually go out like that, but we're not going to quite detail them in yet because we're going to have to add some more paint over here. So we're going to add these details over here. We're going to add the eyelash area here. Then I'm going to add a shadow right in here, and I'm going to take a highlight and place it kind of in between that shadow and the lid. It sits right there, and then you can go in, place in that shadow, and then I'm going to take a highlight right here where there's like a wrinkless skin that's coming down, and I can just kind of blotch it in there. And then we're going to do the same over here. We're going to add the shadow right above her eyes here, and it'll go down a little bit like that. And then we're going to go in and with a highlight, kind of move it in there. And then we're going to take the highlight up here and just kind of move it right where that eye is. And I know these are just kind of blocked in at the minute. You go in later and you can take it and smooth it all in, blend it in. Whatever program you use, there's different ways to do it with different programs. But for right now, I just wanted to get that shape in there. I'm going to make my opacity down a little bit. And I'm just going to kind of place in some darker shadows right above these eyes here before we move on. Just kind of get these shadows placed in now and not have to worry about them after I've detailed too much. And the same over here. This one's a little more in the dark, so we'll go ahead and add that in there, and then that in there. And then if you're worried that you've taken too much of your whites away, you can go in, blend them back in like that and like that. And then we're going to work on, I'm going to work on detailing the eye. So I'm going to go in there and I'm going to sharpen up that pupil a little bit more, darken it a little bit like that and like that. I'm going to take some black and go over it a little bit here and here. So I'm going to take my brush, turn it to overlay, and then I'm going to take like a olive drab green and I'm going to put it around the pupil area here and here, and then I'm going to take my color dodge option. I'm going to pick a nice bright green, and I'm going to make my brush really small, turn my opacity down maybe a little bit more, just kind of go in now and add some eye details, like little light catching marks for the eyes, just right under that pupil. Give her eyes just a little bit of glow there. And then I'm going to go back in with overlay again with black and just kind of mark up that like top of the eye area here where it's a little bit bland right now. And now maybe her eyes are looking a little buggy. I think the general size of them should be shrunken. So I'm just going to make some edits here. And we can shrink that in. They're looking a little less bug-eyed now. And then we can go in and just add any little touch-ups that we want to the eyes now. I'm just going to keep detailing that eye, and then I'm going to add a nice little shadow over here where it goes in. I'm going to add a little bit of a red area right in here. Okay, and then I'm going to add a little bit of like a highlight where it's caught now in there. And that's just that little section there of her eye. Take this in and give her eyeball shadow a little bit here. And you can do the same over here. We'll take this color in. I'm going to turn my opacity up because it's a little painful working at 8%. So I'm just going to keep detailing it out, keep adding the highlights, working on the creases. I've lost my crease over here a little bit. Let's get it back. This whole area has been swooped in, but I don't want that, so I'm going to go to liquefy and I'm going to blow it up and ignore those lines. Those are just the edits on the clipping mask, and I'm just going to swoop it out a little bit. That's a little more the shape that I want. We want a nice dark shadow over here, so I'm going to go ahead and place one in there just like that at the very bottom and the corner here. Another shadow up here. I want to reiterate the shadow that goes here. We want some highlights at the corner of her eyes that come down like so, and then like so. I'm going to just use pure white for ease sake. Highlight over here. I'm going to put a highlight here. And I'm going to put like a little bit of a skin color here. And then I'm going to take a highlight color, trace along her bottom lid there a little bit, you know, smudge that in. And then I'm going to take a shadow color and trace along inside there. And I'm going to turn my opacity down just a little bit, take some white and just add like a wet kind of look under her lids there. We'll do the same over here. And I'm going to take this highlight color again over here and I'm going to exemplify where her lower lid is here. And then I have a little bit over here and that's looking pretty good. Let's go ahead and add some even darker shadows here in just a kind of a specified triangular shape, like it's just catching down there. And we're going to add this one up here that's also in kind of a triangular shape like that. Then we're going to reiterate this one over here. It's kind of lost itself here. And then we're going to put in some shadows here that we've lost. So anywhere in the corner of the eyes that we've kind of lost there, I'm going to put another highlight right here. Just kind of add these details in. Okay, one more edit that I see now. I'm going to take the lasso tool, feather, and do my usual things. And I actually just want that to go a little bit like so. So then lastly, we're just going to go in and add a few of her like eyelash details like that and that. And we might go in later and kind of rework these a little bit more. But for now, I want to kind of get everything more or less blocked in. So we'll do the same here. We'll have a lot of them coming out like this. Eyelash details down here if you want, and we'll do a few down here as well. And then we're going to take white and we're going to add some highlights. So I'm just going to put some here, and whatever you put down in one you have to match with the other. So maybe just like a couple little lines right over the pupil over here. Give her a lot of something to look at there. And then maybe some right over here, and then we'll match that one right here. This eye might still need a little bit more work, so I'll just quickly make a little edit and then we'll move on to the lips. Okay, so now the eyes are a little more detailed in. They look a little bit creepy right now because they're a little more detailed in than the rest of the face. But we're going to move on to the lips. So I'm going to go in, get a nice kind of base color and apply that first. Okay, so we have the base color. Now what I want to do is just put in the shadows and the highlights like usual. If you break it down, you just place it in, block it in, put the shadows and highlights, and that's about all there is. There we go. We're just going to block in these shadows, and I'll skip ahead. And then we're going to add some highlights. And I'm actually going to go to the color dodge tool for this. And I'm going to just pick up this color. I'm going to kind of quickly do this, give it a little bit more vibrancy and stuff. And then I will go back to normal and I will work on doing these a little bit more traditionally. So I'm going to take black and I'm going to put it down here a couple times. And then I'm going to pick that color up. I'm going to go in my history and delete it. And then this just gives me kind of a dark color without having to commit to that black. So we'll just put in the shadow there. There's a little bit of shadow under here. And then we'll have one over here a little bit more. I might move that up by picking that color and moving it up. Then we're going to have the highlights. Remember, the highlights are going to come from this way. So we're just going to pick some sort of yellowish highlights here. And I'm going to lay them in on her lips where they would be catching. Okay, something like that. And then we'll take that white and we'll go in with it a little bit more. We're going to pick up some highlights, add them right above the lips here. I'm going to add some highlights here. So I'm going to take this color, find a little bit more of a highlighted color here, and then I'm just going to put it in there, right where that would be, something like that. And then I can put a few in while we're over here. Finish putting like a little bit of highlight here, and then maybe one under here, and we just put that there on that chin. I know it's still looking a little bit blotchy. It needs a little texture, but for now that's pretty good. I'll go in and refine it at the last, but for now we're gonna move on and just kind of keep going. I don't want to be dragging this video out too long. Okay, so I'm gonna add a little tiny shadow right here and right over here. Now we're just gonna move on to detailing the nose a little bit, and then I will go over her hair a little bit more, and then I'll just kind of speed through the very finishing processes. So for the nose, just kind of push the highlights we've already had and work on the shadows and just kind of keep building. We're building a painting. So I'm going to take some more highlight colors and I'm going to apply them at the tip of her nose here, and it'll go down, and there's a little bit over here that we've already kind of established. Let's have this area look a little whiter so it brings out that nose a little bit more, and we can put a little bit of highlight in there and a little tiny touch, maybe not that much in here, just to kind of show where that she's catching light inside the nose through that area a little bit. And I'm going to take this, push this shadow so it's a little more shaped to the nose. And then I'm going to push these shadows a little bit darker. So I'm going to get this color here, make my brush smaller, and come in here and then just kind of really push these shadows that I've got going inside the nostril here and this one over here. And then I will push this shadow here. It's kind of the darkest part is that corner of the nose. I'm going to move the highlight over a little bit. I think this is the bridge of the nose looks a little too flat or pinched or whatever. So I'm just going to kind of work on blending that a little over a little bit more. And then there's a little bit of area here in shadow, but not a lot. Get rid of it by blending it carefully. Okay, and then I think the nose looks a little desaturated, or it needs like a little redness to it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to overlay. I'm going to pick a nice red color. I'll turn my opacity down a little bit more to like 15. And I'm just quickly, very quickly add a little bit of red to it. And I'm going to add a little bit of red to her lips as well while we're at it. And then you can take an even darker red if you want, and maybe add a few little spots around the eyes where you want it to look a little nicer. Maybe at the corners too. All right, so there's her facial features somewhat defined in. They'll need some refinement, but for now, I think they look okay. Let's move on and we'll do the hair real quick, and then I'll kind of speed through the rest. I'm going up to that hair layer. So while we're on overlay, why don't we add a few little streaks of red? I think that'll look a little bit nicer. Just a few like over here and over here. Just to kind of give her a little bit varying colors. And I guess, you know what, we'll go in. Why not give her a little tiny blush too while we're at it? Like a little bit there and there. Just to give her a little bit more interest. Okay, so now we'll go up to the hair layer. Like I said, I'm going to turn my opacity to like about 23. And I'm just going to go in and add where there needs to be more detailed highlights. I'm going to go in like up here where you'd see the streaks. I'm taking a highlighted color and I'm taking a shadow color, and I'm just going to go in and add some streaks of hair basically. And I'm just hitting X with my keyboard to kind of switch between the highlight and the dark color. So we'll go in and we'll add strands down here. Anywhere you want there to be a lot of strands, you can kind of detail them in just one by one by hand. And then if they look too raggedy or if they get too straggly, you can go in and we'll work on getting the brush a little bit bigger. But for now, we're going to basically just go over this whole thing with the dark and the light strands. Just add some detail and make it look like they are strands of hair, not just blocks of color. So I will just keep working these strands in. Okay, and then when you're happy with that, you can take your colors and you can make them a little bit lighter and a little bit darker. And you guessed it, you're just going to kind of build those shadows and the highlights that you want a little bit more. Anywhere you want there to be more highlights, you can go in and add the strands in. And anywhere you want more shadows, you can go in. If you think your brush is too big, you can start, as you detail, you'll just kind of keep making your brush smaller and smaller once you're ready. So like right here, I want to make this highlight more, but I don't want to just block over it. So I'm going to take my brush and make it even smaller and go in and add those highlights like that. So that's basically the technique for hair that I usually do. I block in the colors with kind of a bigger brush, and then I go smaller, and then I go smaller, and then I go smaller. Let's work on her bangs a little bit more. And then a few more little tips and tricks. I'm going to create a clipping mask on her hair. I'm going to take my brush and set it to multiply, and I'm going to pick up like one of these shadows, and I'm just going to come in here and make this side of her hair a little bit darker, because like I said, it would mostly be catching on the light. And that the multiply point is so you don't lose all the strands that you just worked on. Anywhere that you think would need a little bit more shadows. And when you want to do the opposite, you can either go to overlay or color dodge, pick a highlighted color and go in. And if it's blowing your colors out too much, you might have to turn your opacity down. And you just go in and add a few highlights where there might be some highlight. Okay, so like, you know, when you see it where the hair is real shiny and stuff, you might do it like that and then like that. And that's kind of an extreme example. And this is looking a little bit red, so what I might do is make this actually more of a yellow color and turn my opacity down. And you can also just pick colors that you want. I'm just going to refine my stuff here, refine my hair, my skin. And before I go, there's one more thing. If you want to know, you can also add some texture to your skin by going in and picking a texture brush. This is going to depend on your program again. I'm in overlay still. Let's go back to normal. And you can go in and add a few like little skin textured areas here and there, so she's not just so bland. And you can carefully just kind of go in with different brushes and add a few just, you know, little interesting areas, so it's not all just like smooth doll skin. And yeah, so I'll probably be doing that a little bit at the end as well. So I'm gonna speed up the video now to just kind of show you how I finished refining it, and then I will see you there. Okay, so there we go. I'm pretty happy with that. I think we'll just go with that now. I hope you guys enjoyed doing a Let's Paint of Claire from Jurassic World. Maybe it's kind of a strange character. I thought it'd be kind of fun. She has nice red hair and she's kind of expressive and stuff. If you have a character you want to suggest for future Let's Paints, let me know in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me in the comment section. Take care, have a wonderful day, and I will see you in the next video.